Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Note Genius YouTube channel. Today, I am here with Mr. Dave Putz. He is a quite experienced, let's call him veteran in the note space, with plenty of knowledge to share. I've learned a lot from him myself just by following along with his YouTube channel and such, talking to him on LinkedIn and such. And so we'll get into that as we go. But how you doing today, David?
Doing well, man. How are you?
I'm great. No complaints on my side. Yes, sir. Happy it's Friday. Happy to be here. So I'm all good.
Awesome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
So,
let me jump in.
yeah.
Like my experience in space has been just 15 years of craziness. And what my favorite part is networking people like yourself and other people in the space. That is probably one of the biggest excitement I have, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how did you get started? I know you've been in the space again like 15 years. How'd you get your start?
I got started as a short sale guy, got into it in 2010, helping a buddy of mine out. He started with a hedge fund of what, 100 grand.
Hmm.
I was helping just review properties, and we got into this idea of buying notes, which is really weird. I didn't understand it, didn't understand the fact I couldn't get into the property, couldn't see the property. But then we're buying these things at such a discount that short sales and REOs didn't work. We were just saying, holy goodness, we can get these for cheap. We were buying at 30 cents on a dollar, 40 cents on a dollar was the top we'd pay. It was awesome times. I wish I was smarter and had more money. So you could be wrong on value back then. You're making money no matter what you did. So he grew up when I left him. He was around. It was probably around $15 million in assets. Since then, that company's grown. There are over $25 billion in assets, 70,000 notes.
Wow.
And I learned by doing this space and screwing up a lot.
What it kind of leads into my next question. How has the space changed over the time that you've began, and what is it that investors should be looking for in the note space now?
I'll tell you the one thing that hasn't changed. We're still lazy investors. We like looking at spreadsheets, sending emails, and stopping there, right? So in the space, people often say, what do I buy first? So I buy performing, non-performing. I'm going to buy this because of the highest return. And for me, our perspective from 2010 to 2020 was buy non-performing because the pricing was better.
Mhm.
Since then, performing non-performing notes aren't priced as well as they used to be. You're buying non-performing notes at 65 cents. Now, granted, I never buy notes based on a percentage of UPB or BPO. I was based on a return that I want to get. And then I do the quick math to divide my purchase price by the UPB, and I come up with a number. But we bought non-performing notes for 10 years and we foreclosed on probably 90% of them. So we did hundreds of foreclosures during that period of time. Since then, we shifted because we can't get the price. We take the emotion of all our pricing. I don't care what the house looks like or whatever it's at. If the price makes sense, what the value of the property is, what I can get the collateral for, or the return I'm looking for in my yield, my IRR, my MIR kind of calculations, does it make sense to buy it? If that's the case, I then send my agents out and look at it and go, okay, here it is. What has changed is that factor when going from non-performing to performing. So anyone that's been in the space for 5 or 6 years, performing's been the bread and butter of what we've done, and everyone's looking for non-performing. But the non-performings out there aren't really priced well. Non-QMs and things like that are priced a little bit better, but most people aren't getting into those kind of things. So that's been a big change.
So is there, when talking non-performing, is there a certain and as you said, you don't go based off percentage of UPB, but what attracts you to a non-performing note in that case?
First is state,
Hmm.
right? Most people don't realize that each state has a debt license requirement, and certain states do, and some states don't. So when we talk about that, like Illinois, in Illinois, you need to have a debt license. Not that they always catch you, but you have to have a debt license to own debt, even if you have a servicer. So my filters start with that. Then my next filter is population. If it's a rural area, I'll skip it, knowing the fact that if I buy it, have to fix it and sell it or sell at the auction, I want something that's not rural.
Hmm.
Next thing is what kind of asset is it? Is it residential, commercial property, not commercial note, which is two different things? Is it land, raw land? Is it a mobile home? Is a mobile home detitled and attached to the ground? Those are another factors. Then it's math. Then it's due diligence of saying, are all my thoughts beforehand correct? And is the collateral file solid?
Hmm.
That shift is a lot different than buying a performing note and saying, I calculated my yield to maturity, my YTM, my PV, and here's my bid price. There's so much more go into it. And I tell people who are in less than 5 or 6 years, never buy a note based on it performing forever
Hmm.
or yield because it could default tomorrow. And it could be no fault of anyone. The borrower dies, something happens.
Okay. So obviously you've evaluated a lot of tape. You've seen a lot of notes, a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities. What would you say was your most significant learning curve as far as learning how to identify the gems from the junk?
So I'm a surprise Bill here. In 2010, I didn't understand the financial calculator at all.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what PV and all. Note is five key numbers, right? You have your original price, you have your interest rate, you have your monthly P&I, which is separate from tax insurance, you have your term, and you have a balloon. Balloons typically not in the loans we deal with because it's owner occupied, but that's the key things. The next step I learned is just a lot of mistakes that I didn't know. One of the key ones we learned in a non-performing space was there's such thing called a forced place insurance, FPI, or lender's place insurance. Well, there's two different policy types out there. We bought an asset expecting to file a claim on it and came to find out we couldn't file a claim at all. We couldn't. It was a type of policy that as soon as the note sold, that policy is no longer valid and you can't file a claim at all. So we took an asset we bought for 30 that we knew we can fix it up with insurance money and sell for 90, and we actually took a $15,000 loss on it. It
Mm-hmm.
was bad. Dealing with borrowers, never go into a deal expecting to know what the borrower's going to do. Perform, non-perform, modify, short sale. Borrowers can say a lot. BK happen, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I hear is that successful note investors kind of pick a lane and stick to it. But is that your experience? I mean, as you learn to again identify good opportunities, do you find it valuable to branch out and maybe look in places that people are not tapping into as much, or how do you feel about that?
Great question. Both, right? I think for you, find out what works for you. For us, I'll buy first, non-performing, performing. I'll buy second, performing and non-performing. It's really about the numbers. Do the numbers tell me it's a good deal? The things I kind of stay away from are raw land notes. And we've had a couple of shows about this on our real estate note show. And what the facet was that we didn't know how to sell the raw land. Like
Mhm.
in Jersey, we don't have raw land that's available to sell. And I'm like, how do you sell to? Who occupies it? What do you do with it? And that facet makes us stay away from it. We hear a lot of people, great success with raw land. We're just not one of them. The other one is mobile homes.
Mhm.
If that mobile home is in a park and you're not getting the land, we stay away from it. Now, do people make money at it? Yeah, there's plenty of people out there that make a ton of money in mobile homes and raw land. We're not interested in that. We'll buy partials. We'll buy all kinds of different facets. It's just a matter of running the numbers and saying this deal makes sense because of this.
Mhm.
So, do I stay in a lane? If you say, Dave, what lane do you primarily stay in? I stay away from contract for deed, lease options. I just don't like the lane. It's an emotional thing, unfortunately, because I also don't want to own the property. I've been a landlord. I
Mhm.
don't want to do that. I find the fact that I like my first position notes. It's a control thing. I could sleep at night. Have I been in a position where that kind of got me biting the butt? Absolutely. We bought a note where we were first position, we were static. I saw in the collateral file that there was a a foreclosure started by the HOA 2 years prior. I bought the note. The borrower came to me and says, Dave, I want to keep this property. It's probably 2014. And I said, great. Give me some money out of your 401k because they can do that when they're foreclosure. She modified the deal. Everything worked out great. 2 months later, I get a notice in the foreclosure auction of the HOA. I even forgot about the HOA doing it. And what I came to find out was the HOA filed the foreclosure prior to us buying it, and our the person who sold us a note never responded as a claim on that filing. So my first position note was not named on it at all. So I was about to get wiped completely out of the deal because I was not a lien party in that foreclosure. So we quit. typically, in Ohio, we first position notes are ahead of HOAs, but because we weren't named in the party because the person didn't respond, we were not part of it. So we had to jump in second position and
Mhm.
pay that $7,500, whatever the HOA was, right?
And
That
then you
was a
still
lesson.
ended up foreclosing after you paid that?
No, they actually foreclosed. We
Okay.
just were in second position. So when the
Okay. Okay.
property, reverted back, we put our claim into how much we want to buy it for. We end up taking that property back. But yeah, if we didn't, we would have been wiped out.
Wow. So yeah, you don't know what you're gonna run into till you run into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That okay. So again, we talked about you've been through a lot of deals, you've seen a lot of tape. You have, I mean, I'm sure your deal flow machine at this point has been built up well through relationships over time. And I'm sure going direct to other note investors and stuff. But do you ever work with brokers? And if so, how can someone broker notes effectively in order to be one, ethical, and two, provide real value to buyers?
Great question, right? Because you hear a lot of things about A, go broker notes and make a lot of money, or
Hmm.
B, don't be a joker broker,
Hmm.
right? And it's in between. A real true broker will evaluate a list of assets and say, hey, this asset makes a lot of sense. Now, you need to know what you're doing to do that.
Hmm.
However, if you are able to say, hey, Dave, I saw 10 assets. If you see any you like, great. But this one asset, take a look at it. The value shows this, add value to an asset list. If you get 10 notes in your hand, even if I saw the asset and you say, Dave, I pulled the O&E, the value is wrong on this thing. The seller doesn't know what he's doing. I know exactly this property situation and provide me the information to say, go ahead. I'll pay that broker that fee because they added value. They didn't just send a tape along.
Hmm.
Now, granted, you have to be very careful with the broker. If you broker assets that you don't own, which is a broker, without the seller knowing about it, they can then file suit against you because you disclosed private personal borrower information to the public. So you have to be very careful. But if you can take a list of assets and say, I like to make some offers, I have people, you can definitely work with people like ourselves and say, I like to sell this asset. It's a good asset. But please evaluate it and make sure it makes sense. Don't send me a 3% note that's performing and expect me to give you a good bid.
Yeah. 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 Okay. That's good information. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
definitely as I'm learning more about the space and networking more, there's a lot of people out there who are brokering either again ethically or not so much. And it's good to know what to look for and who's actually providing that value. So
Yes.
that's a great answer. Great. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I mean, I first kind of came across you on YouTube. We eventually connected on LinkedIn and whatnot, but you've always been very generous about sharing information, sharing resources. Tell me a little bit about JKP Holdings, what your role is in the note space and where you intend to take it.
Absolutely. Great question. So, JKP came from a long conversation with my wife saying, what can we do here? I must have bought 10, 15 notes in my personal name before even thinking about creating a company. Created the company, and the premise of the company was to buy notes. I then slowly but surely started holding meetups locally, which then I started doing Zooms with people that I like, that I respect in the space, and people in the community started to connect with that role. So started becoming an educator. I always know the fact that the more I give, the more I'll get back. So I'm always giving as much value as I possibly can. However, you got to do your own work. So for me, not only am I able to connect people, network people, which is my biggest facet, I'm able to help people. They help me in return. But then I'm also able to say, listen, we're going to connect on your strengths and my strengths and work together as colleagues. Everyone has a strength and a weakness. So if I find someone who has a strength that I'm weak in, I want to make that connection.
Mhm.
Now, do we do other things? Absolutely. We have some training guides, we have some resources, we have some due diligence stuff, but we're also running with larger, high level investors, creating, buying servicers who we meet privately to get the information outside that the smaller investors don't know about, right? Get on top of it, get ahead of it, learn things from people who are doing 15, 20 notes a month. What are they doing differently than everyone else is doing? Or what kind of market are they in? Are they creating notes? Can we buy from them? Are we able to leverage someone with 15 rental properties and put a loan on top of that and create a note, which we've done it 17, 18%. And they're saying thank you. So I'm creating a DSCR loan in with someone that I know personally and says, great, they have rental flow. And now I'm creating it at 17% of 2 year, 3 year, 4 year interest only loans. And they're ecstatic because the banks won't do that kind of stuff. And they have
Mhm.
a portfolio of 100 rentals. And then I look at the fact that how can I be different from a lot of people? I behind the doors, I do a lot of AI. I do a lot of building out spreadsheets. I help people build their bid calculator, which is the bread and butter of a note buyer. When you look at a note calculator, it better have every possible ish situation that could happen as best you can figure out. It also should make sure that the loan numbers make sense. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a tape recently when I run the numbers, the math doesn't make sense. That how is a situation, a UPB started here and the origination amount was this at this date, the UPB doesn't add up. What you come to find out is the loan has been modified. It was modified 4 years ago, but they don't give you that information. Well, I need to know the note data of that note that I'm buying, that modified note. The original note at this time doesn't mean anything because I'm buying the modified note. So then I look at the fact that how can I build? We do AI prompts. We share with the community our AI prompts that we use. We use automation. We use tools and connect people with other things that they don't have. We have some really cool tools that we're building out right now internally that may make note finding assets a different task than most people are used to. We'll see in a couple months how that passes out. But then we look at stuff and say, can we help people build calculators? We would love to get feedback to see if would people benefit and be willing to buy access to a calculator that does everything like we have. I don't know how many people would, but if they did, feel free to reach out and let us know. I see the last pieces is ability to really see curves, meaning what is going on. A lot of people right now are doing wraps and these sub two things, and people are trying to buy them. We talked on our show about this. They're dangerous things. We've connected with some of the biggest wraps and sub two people in the space, and even they're saying we have to be careful because some of these things are done poorly. So I'm a networker first, a note buyer second, and then an educator third. But I can't do any of those without the network I have. The network brings everything from deal flow to problem solving to just benefiting from each other's goodness.
That's fantastic. That really is. And I mean, on the subject of network and just building that community, I mean, how again, like the note space is relatively unsung as far as real estate goes and finance and such. Um, how do you find it? I guess what's your experience building community in the note space? Is it something where like everybody kind of knows each other once you become a real player, or what is that like? Because in other aspects of real estate, you're competing a lot. You got to outbid everybody else for the wholesale property or the flip or stuff like that. So what is it like as a being fully involved as a note investor?
Yeah, it's totally different. Real estate is cutthroat, right? You're not sharing anything with anyone you know. Note space is different, right? Are we competing against each other? We sure are.
Hmm.
But people are more respectful. We in 2013 to 2017, they were the company out there that put out tapes. We found out that they put out three different tapes every week to different investors. We had a small group, about six of us, that we shared in a group, Facebook group, that we shared the tape, and we came to find out that they always shared the different tape to each one of us. So we compile it all. Next week, I got a brand new listing from them. No, they just rotated the old tape that they sent the other group that week to us. So that allowed us to really kind of bid on everything and be aware of things. But the network to me, what I built it was about sharing knowledge, sharing experiences. Some people don't want to hear about, but to me, I'd rather hear what you learned. And for those new investors out there, you're going to learn something that I never knew. It's going to happen, I promise you. So just because you're new doesn't mean you don't have knowledge or experience. You can do one deal, which was my FPI deal we talked before, that I asked the guy who had, at that time, he had around 45,000 notes. He's never heard of that. He didn't know there's two different policies. He's never heard of it. So until you go through it, you don't know what you don't know. So
Hmm.
for me, the network comes with a huge benefit. I have no problem sharing that information. Will I share my calculator? Most people won't understand my calculator. It's crazy. I have no problem showing people it, but when they start diving into it, it gets very confusing.
Mhm.
And because it's built for yourself, you need to have a calculator. You need, besides a financial calculator. So for me, building the network was about the Facebook groups, LinkedIn, posting, social media, going to no conferences and shaking hands, right? And that's a big one for me because in the beginning, I didn't want to spend $1,000 and go away from my family for a weekend. I can tell you now, I've gone to, I don't know, 30, 40 of them, 50 of them. Every single one of them came home with something. And the reason was I had a goal going there. It wasn't just to meet people and shake hands. What was my goal? I had three goals every time I went, and I had to achieve them. If it was find three deals, or find someone who's creating notes and talk to them, or find someone who's looking to buy notes and they're looking for something I'm looking to sell, or find someone who has a performing note that's not willing to sell the whole thing but wants to buy a property and I can offer them a partial and solve their problem. Yes, huge.
Nice,
Does that
nice.
make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I have a couple more for you.
No
Um,
problem.
one of them, if you had to pick two lessons that you learned that made you just the great note investor that you are today, and we've touched on calculator, so we can't say calculator.
Yeah. Yeah.
But give me two things that you've learned that make you the guy. Yeah.
It, I think for me, it's just my network of connections I have. I
Mhm.
can call up people and ask a question, right? One of my skill sets is that I have a Rolodex of people across country. I can literally email or call somebody who's local to a property and ask them questions. That to me, I don't know if anyone in the space is doing that. They're using REO agents or worse, they're using BPOs and regular agents, which are terrible. BPOs are bad enough. But if I reach out to somebody who's a note investor who understands real estate and I say, listen, I have a property that's 5 minutes from your house. Can you tell me about it? Can you drive by the property? I'm going to get more information from you that understands real estate as an investor than anyone I can pay $100 or $200 for. They understand what I'm looking for. They could peek in the window and say, hey, Dave, that thing's occupied. Or, Dave, that thing's vacant. The electric meter's not moving. That's another trick, right? Look at the electric meter and see if it's moving, right? There's mail sticking on the mailbox. It's vacant, Dave. This is crazy. I'd rather connect with people and say, listen, this Brian lives in this county. Anytime I get a deal there, I have a system that figures that out.
Mhm.
The other facet that allows me to, I feel, brand and stand out is always being helpful to people who ask questions and being honest. It may not be friendly sometimes because it's something they don't want to hear, but be honest, right? I do my best not to shy away from people. There are people in the space that can rub people the wrong way, and that's just not cool in my book because the space is small. But there's so many people that just want to learn. And I guarantee you, I've learned more from newbies than I have from some of the long time professionals because they ask a question I didn't even think about on a deal that I would never even thought about. Where it's like, well, Dave, wouldn't you look at this situation? Oh, I didn't know there's a Walmart going in the local area. Oh, crap. The Walmart rule kicks in, which is they have better stats than we do about what the population changes.
Mhm.
Those are huge things for me.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And are you active in any other form of real estate? And if you are, how does that coincide with your note investing strategy?
I will tell you, I'm not a landlord.
Mhm.
I try not to be. We have let me rephrase that. We do have some rental properties, but they're de facto from foreclosing.
Mhm.
Um, and there were previous done leases. So I can't owner finance and sell it because their lease is intact.
Mhm.
I would tell you I'm a note creator. I'm a note buyer. We sell notes as well. Um, but in my world, I'm creating notes and I'm buying notes. That's it. Now, can I create a note for you to do something cool and different from real estate? Yes. So, note creation doesn't mean it has to be real estate, it could be anything.
Mhm.
You have a business going on, you have a great thing happening, you need capital. We can shark tank the hell out of it, right? That's the idea, is just giving you the capital to do it if it makes sense. We
Mhm.
are also buying businesses. That's another facet we're looking at. One of the biggest things happening right now is baby boomers are retiring
Mhm.
and they have a lot of businesses that you can buy and you can AI and do all that good stuff with them that they don't even know about. Looking at some companies who don't even have a website. Oh, they have a great portfolio of people, but no online presence.
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, business acquisition is one of my goals as I progress, once I get a little more solid in the note space, I definitely want to start building a portfolio of businesses, which leads me to I saw recently a podcast episode talking about business notes, and I hadn't considered that. I still don't understand is that notes on the business itself, like an SBA being sold or something like that, or the note on the commercial property that like a brick and mortar. But what is your take on business notes, and have you invested in them?
Yeah, so I've never bought a business note. I've created them where they're secured by a personal guarantee. Could be real estate, could be machines, some kind of like doctor's office with chairs and
Hmm.
X-ray machines. Um, it could be collateral of vehicles. It could be anything you want. It could possibly be. It could be just a inventory loan, right? We had our show today, and someone's buying inventory loans on inventory notes. Like, holy crap, you could buy a note that's backed by giving someone inventory. Um, so business notes can be all kinds of stuff. That means goes back to, do you want to, if all breaks loose and you have to do some kind of repossession of the collateral, do you want those items? Can you
Hmm.
sell doctor chairs? Can you sell the cars? Can you sell the building? Is it a situation that you could sell it? Like raw land. I don't see myself being able to sell it, so I don't want to buy that with the fact that the exit could be selling raw land.
Got you, got you. Cool.
And real quick, I
Um,
want to add that
yeah.
most people don't know when they get into spaces that I love the hat, right? And one of the facets most people don't realize when they first get in, they have $1,000 to their name. How
Hmm.
can they buy a note at a grand, right?
Hmm.
One of the first ways people say is just go borrow money. Don't do that because you don't know what you don't know,
Hmm.
right? I tell people you have $1,000, $5,000, go offer someone a partial. And see, people say, well, who's gonna do $1,000? If the $200 a month partial, you could buy, 4 or 5 payments depending on, right? And I would challenge you just to learn the space. I always say this all the time. When you go to college, you spend a lot of money to go to college. You walk out with $0. You got paid for education. With notes, you can pay for education and still have passive money coming in. So I tell you, go talk to someone who has notes and offer them a partial purchase and tell them you have 1,000, 1,500 bucks, whatever you got, and you want to buy the partial. And tell the person that you want to learn and give me a number that you can't refuse. So if I say to you, great, you want to buy my partial at 6%? And you say yes. Why do you do that? You now learn the fact that you have to read the collateral file, look at the servicing notes, get nervous, fund the deal, do the due diligence, board it with your servicer, right? Now record that new assignment that we recorded to you, see the money coming in, and then change it and go, now I've experienced it. And I've done with a little bit of money, and I have a seller who, if all hell breaks loose, can bail me out.
Hmm.
And I don't care. Don't chase these 10, 12, 14, 16% returns. Listen, just get your hands dirty, right? Just be in a spot where you're in the game. I don't care if you have one note or 100 notes. You're in the game. You're not on the sideline. So, beginners, go offer people. There's plenty of people out there who have notes. And when they say, well, I don't have a note to sell, tell them, I'll buy it at 6%, 7%. Well, you really do that? Yes, because I want to learn. And buy for 5 months. Make some money. You're not gonna make a lot. Make some money and go, wow, I did a deal. Because the hardest deal to do is your first.
Hmm. Wow. This is great. David, this has been extremely insightful. I appreciate everything you've shared and continue to share
Absolutely.
with us. Where can people find you? How can they contact you? How can we get to your level? Where can we find
Yeah. So jkpholdings.com. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, I'm sure, we have LinkedIn. But the best thing to do is go on our website, jkpholdings.com. We have a slash note investing. We have education trainings, but the real estate note show on YouTube and a podcast, I would start there and just start listening to what we say and just start learning from that kind of thing. And then if you want real detailed stuff, reach out to our team and say, listen, I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing, but I need help. Now,
you?
granted, it's not all free. When you get deeper into stuff and you really want to learn, You may not be paying for the product, you may be paying for the connection you're making. And I can't tell me people times I've bought something from somebody, not for what they give me, but the connection. Now I can call them on the phone or email them and I'll get a response. That point is invaluable to me. So I've spent 1,500, 2 grand with somebody just so I can say, hey, we've done a deal together. Let's talk about something else.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's worth the business made.
That's awesome. That's awesome. David, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your
Absolutely.
information. We'll do another one of these in the future as we make more progress and the game continues to change. But thanks again.
Absolutely.
And this will be very insightful for our listeners. So I'm excited
Not
to
a
check this
problem.
one out. Yes, sir. All right. You
Sounds
have a
good.
great rest of your day. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you. Thank you again. Take care.
Of course.